So once again, welcome everyone to the live stream. This is actually the first, almost the first live stream, at least in this year, for building TaskBots. Last year, we had a few other live streams, including a hackathon. Maybe we can repeat it sometime in the future. Okay, so let me first introduce you to what we're going to do today. So once again, welcome everyone. And yes, now I think admitted the latest participants. In this session, we're going to do the following. So I'm going to build a TaskBot that is going to visit a list of profiles on LinkedIn and then get automatically generated content from ChatGPT and post that content as comments on the latest posts of those profiles. So let me share my screen. And hi, Football Bob and Thiago. Hi, everyone who greeted in chat. Really glad to see you. Hi, Becky and Hugo. Okay, now let me share my screen. So here we go. So this is the final result. Now in this stream, I'm going to start from a blank page. So I'm going to create a new TaskBot and I'm going to walk you through block by block what is going to be built here. But this is the final result and how it looks like. So first of all, what I'm leveraging here is this building block Ask ChatGPT, as well as all the usual logic that you're familiar with, or if you are not, maybe you are new to ZeroWork, then I'm going to walk you through how to use that. So I'm looping through a list of profiles, so looping through rows in a data table, and then visiting those profiles, checking their latest post, and then creating a comment with ChatGPT based on the post text. In a moment, I'm going to walk you through first the manual process of how this works so that you can see what is actually the process on LinkedIn. And then we're going to continue. I'm also going to be checking chat every now and then, okay? So that if you have questions or something that you don't understand or something that I need to repeat or maybe something went too fast, then just let me know. Every now and then, I'll be checking chat and reacting to what you're writing. Okay, good. So before I walk you through the manual process, let me also walk you through the goals of this TaskBot. So number one, or of this session, and what I'm going to show you. So number one, the goal is to learn how to use ZeroWork. So maybe some of you are new or just are not familiar with all the strategies that you can use when building a TaskBot. Next, we're also going to go through some basics of the prompt engineering, because here we need to make a comment that doesn't sound too contrived or too ChatGPT-like. I'm also going to mention that in one of the next releases, we're actually planning to introduce a new feature where you can even fine-tune your own model with your own personal voice. So this is not yet part of the feature set, but in the next few weeks, this is something that we're also planning to add. Okay, so next, the goal is to build this TaskBot as a kind of smart automation. So what do I mean by that? It means that we don't just want our TaskBot to go visit those profiles, click on the post a comment. We actually want to make sure that we're not going to get our accounts blocked. So we're going to be using delay and randomization. Next, we're also going to be checking if the post that the TaskBot is going to comment on was already commented on. So in other words, this TaskBot is supposed to run daily, right? So what if the profile has not posted a new post yet? We don't want to add a second comment there. So this would really call out that we're using an automation. And so I'm going to show you how to avoid this, how to check whether the new comment is really new. I'm also going to show you how to limit the number of profiles that you are visiting per run. And also I'm going to show you the snooze strategy. The snooze strategy basically means that after a few profiles, like 10, 15, or 20, you're making your TaskBot pause for a little bit and stay idle. Also, I'm going to show you how to check for expired cookies, also important, because if you are in a loop and visiting many profiles, and then your cookies expire or LinkedIn logs you out, then you want to make sure that your TaskBot does not continue opening the profiles while being in a logged out state. Last, I also want to show you how to make this TaskBot usable for you as a TaskBot creator. So I'm just going to share a few basic tips and strategies, how to, for example, record the status and the actions taken in the data table in a way that it's easy for you to review it later on. If time remains, I also would like to show you an alternative approach. So the first approach that I'm going to show you is where the TaskBot automatically posts the comments that are generated by ChatGPT. But in an alternative approach, I'd like to add a little twist for those of you who are a bit more control freaks, and so who would not want to run this on autopilot, but rather prefer ChatGPT to generate all the comments, and then you manually going through them, approving whether they are all right. And then on the next run, the TaskBot can post your approved comments. Okay, but that depends on your participation and questions. So if time remains, I will show it. If not, I'll share some instructions in a post after the session. Okay, so now let's get started. And also, as I mentioned, welcome to leave comments, welcome to participate in the chat, ask questions, or even unmute yourself. And if something is not understandable for you, then there is a good chance that it's not understandable for the others. So just ask whatever is on your mind. Okay, so now let's go over the manual process first. We're going to have a list of profiles like here. So we're going to have profile link and name. I'm not going to show you how to collect this because there is a YouTube tutorial on ZeroWork YouTube channel where I show how to basically collect profiles from a search on LinkedIn. So here I'm just going to work with an existing data table with an existing list of profiles. And then what we're going to do is that TaskBot is going to visit every profile. So what it's going to do is first open a profile just like that. Then it's going to check if the profile actually has any posts, because here, this is not an accident that I picked this profile. I wanted to show you that there is also a case where someone may have never posted on LinkedIn, so they will not have a post section. Okay, but let's move on. Oh, apologize, wrong click here. Here's another profile. And the profiles here are chosen randomly. So they are, they don't mean any particular target group or anything like that. And here, as you can see, there is a button which is called Show All Posts. So now we will make our TaskBot click on that button, Show All Posts. Then we're going to make our TaskBot copy the link to this post by using this button. Then check if this post is a post that TaskBot had already commented on earlier. And if yes, then skip any subsequent action. But if not, so if it's not the same, so this is a new post, then we will make our TaskBot like this post and click on the button comment, and then get the answer or the comment from ChatGPT based on the post text. This is going to be the first step. We're going to build that. We're going to run this, see if it all works fine as it is supposed to. And then we're going to add a few additional checks. For one, we're going to limit the number of profile visits per run. We're also going to add the snooze strategy, which I mentioned earlier, and a few other things. All right, so let's get started. So I'm just going to create a new TaskBot. And if you want to follow along, then do so. For that, please make sure you have the latest version, which is 1.1.36, because it contains the Ask ChatGPT logic, which we need in this case. All right, auto comment, LinkedIn. So this is the TaskBot. And first thing that I would like to do here is to add the data table. So if you're not sure how to collect a list of profiles, just I will share later a link to the YouTube video, to the tutorial where I show how to do that. So in this case, I'm just going to create a new data table. I'm going to give it a name, such as LinkedIn profiles. And if you already have another TaskBot that is collecting the LinkedIn profiles, you can simply add it instead of creating a new one. And okay, so I'm going to create 2 columns. One is going to be profile link. Another one is going to be name. What I'm going to do now is import data from CSV, because as I mentioned, I already have a link, a list of profiles. So here we go. And now we have these profiles. There are about 50 profiles, and we're going to engage with these profiles. The first one is the one that I showed you, so that we have a case where there are no posts. And so you can see how you can add condition that's going to prevent you, interacting with a profile that does not have any posts. Okay. So now that we have a data table, let's start with the basics. First, let's start by adding a loop. So again, if you follow along, just do the steps. So here are the building blocks: start, repeat. And what you want to select here is dynamic type. This is because, as you can see, iterate over existing rows. Also, let me make it a bit bigger for you. Okay, now I'll select the data table that you want to iterate over. This is this one, and then save. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to limit this to just 5 rows, so that we don't need to watch this for too long when we test. Okay, the next step is going to be, we want to open a link, right? So we want to open a profile link. So this is where we're going to add LinkedIn profiles, profile link, and we're going to add some generous delay of about 8 seconds. That means every time this link is opened, TaskBot is going to wait for about 8 seconds. And the maximum amount here means that the delay is going to be randomized between 8 and 12. So this helps you appear more human. Okay, next, once we've opened that link, we're going to first check if there are any posts. So let's analyze this profile, which shows show all activity, but doesn't say show all posts. And this profile, which does have posts, has a button called show all posts. So this, we're going to use it as a check. So we're going to use this building block check web element. And whenever we have a button which has a label, basically some text by which it can be identified, we can simply add text, then double quotes for an exact match, and then enter the label by which the button is identified. So that's show all posts. Okay, save. So if we don't find that button, then we're not going to continue with this profile. But if we do find that button, then we're going to click on Show All Posts. So that's why let's add a building block called Click Web Element. So I'm going to paste same label as before, Show All Posts. I'm going to add some delay between 3 and 7 seconds. Save. Also, to make it more usable and easier to understand how the data was processed, I'm also going to add a column here, which I'm going to call status. We can also call it something like internal notes or whatever. I'm also going to place it right here. And so here, I'm going to update that with something with a note just for myself, which is going to be no posts. So that would mean for me that this person has no posts. And this is useful because later on you can use that code in a way, no posts, to perform some additional actions. Maybe if the profile has no posts, you want to remove this post from your data table. In my opinion, that would make sense because it probably does make sense to engage with profiles which are not active on LinkedIn anyway. So they're probably not going to see your engagement anyway. But for now, we're just going to stick with updating the status, and it's up to you if you want to do something with the profiles which have the status no posts. So let's get back to the main flow. So we're clicking here on Show All Posts. Now, what next? That would make this profile skip. All right, make TaskBot skip that profile. Once we click here, we want to click on this button right here so that we can copy the link. To do that, we need to check the selector. So for those of you who are new to ZeroWork and who joined this live stream, selectors are basically identifiers of every element. So if you just, so that was too fast, sorry. If you just click, if you do a right click, then click on Inspect, then you will see a console like this opening on the right side. Then you can use this button here, this arrow up here. You can hover over the element that you need. Then you can see what is the identifier of that button. So by hovering, you see that the element that we need is being highlighted. So here we, as you can see, the element that I currently sort of landed on is this SVG, which is sort of an image format. I'm not sure if this is clickable, so I'm going to use this button. So I'm just going to use button as a tag. And then in the class, I'm going to use some of this text here, which to me sounds pretty identifiable. So here, feed, shared, control menu. So that can only be this, I think. And if you're not sure how to use selectors, then don't worry. You can just, I can share afterwards some of the links to how to get the selectors. But I think most of you have been on Discord and our Facebook group for a while, so you're familiar with that. So let's get to it. Now, let's change, let's switch to console. So we were in the Elements tab. Now let's go to the console, which is here, the second tab. And let's check if the selector that we're going to use is correct. So enter document.query. No worries, this is not, you don't need to know how to code for that. All we're doing is that we're checking whether the element is correct or not. So we're entering the tag of that element, which was button. And then we need to add square brackets like so. And then add class. And I've copied some of that value of the class before. And as you can see, there is no selector for that. And that's because I used just part of this big text over here. So I just used the first 3 words really: feed, shared, control, menu for words, but not all. So this is not matching. That's why we need to use a star right before equal sign. So this will make the TaskBot look for a loose match. Okay, with that, we got the right button. So here we go. And you can see that when I'm hovering here, it also highlights the button that we actually need. Now, here you have 5 buttons, but because we always need the latest post here, we're not going to add any hierarchy, as in give me the first or the second post. We're just going to use this exact selector. It's fine that there are 5 elements because the TaskBot will just pick the first one. And because the latest one is always the first, that works fine for us. Now, let's say if you wanted to post on the latest 3 comments, then you would need to work with a hierarchy where you would need to basically identify the selector by its incremental number. That's not part of this live stream. So if you want to learn more, then just ask later on in Discord or Facebook. So let's go back here. Once we clicked on show all posts, that's going to be our next step. I'm going to click on that selector on that 3-dot menu, like so. Going to add it also. Going to add a little bit more delay. And then afterwards, we're just going to click on copy link to post. So here again, we're just going to be using this text equals. Copy link to post. Okay. So once we've done that, so that would mean we would copy it. Now we need to save that content from clipboard to a variable or a column. So here, I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call that variable current post link. So here, maybe for some of you who are new, this is going to be a little bit new. So just pay attention. First of all, we're going to create a column, and I'm going to call it current post link. But then I'm also going to create a column here, which I'm going to call last used post link. What does it mean? It means that every time that the TaskBot engages with the post, we're going to save the link to the data table so that we can compare the last used post link with the one that we're saving in this step. This will enable us to prevent TaskBot from commenting on the same post again and again. Because let's say if you run this TaskBot daily, perhaps that profile did not post anything new yet, and you already commented on the last one. Okay, so that's why after we've clicked on that copy link to post, we've copied that to our clipboard, and now we're going to save from clipboard to variables to current post link. So this will save the current link here. And then we can compare it with the last link. So this is where we're going to add condition. So we're going to start with variable current post link. That's going to be our reference. And then we're going to set a condition where we're going to say, if this post does not equal the last one, so which is here last used post link, then we're going to continue and engage with that post and ask ChatGPT and so on. And if that is not correct, so let's duplicate this TaskBot. If the post is the same, again, I would like to track this just like we did here, where we added no posts to the LinkedIn profile data table. I'm also going to track this too. So just going to duplicate, add it here, and I'm going to call it differently. So no post scenario is already covered, and this is going to be the scenario as in no new post. Or you can add something like same post. And again, it's up to you what you're doing with this information. Maybe it just makes it easier for you to review your data table later on. All right, so now that we made sure that we are not commenting on the same post, so this is really a new post, then let's continue with the next steps. The next step is going to be, let's first like it. So all we need to do is to enter text equals like. So let's add click web element, text equals like, and let's add some delay. Here, I'm also going to add this to the status so that we can always track what happened on a particular profile. So in this case, I'm going to set it equal to liked, like so. And then after that, we're now getting to the most important or most exciting part, which is how to use ChatGPT in order to get a automated comment. Okay, so let's continue with that. First, we need the text of the post, which is here. So let's use the same way like we did before. Right-click, inspect, open your console right here. Click on this arrow button right here, this one, and then hover over the text. So let's analyze a bit how this looks. So you can see there is a see more button, but when you hover over here, you see that the whole text is already inside the selector. So you don't really need to click on see more in this case. When looking at the selectors, they actually look fine. So this, for example, shared inline, show more text, sounds good. So we can copy that. And again, let's first build the selector right here to see whether this is correct. So I'm going to use arrow up to get my latest command so that I don't need to type everything again. This is going to be changed to div instead of button. And here, I'm going to add class feed, close the bracket, and we got the right text. So just like so. Again, I'm not differentiating whether this is the first or the second post, because in this case, the TaskBot will always get the latest one. So Claudia, message, confused about reference and variable to and data table with the last post link. Isn't here a missing reference to data table? Yes, indeed. So I'm not yet saving the link to the data table, so I'll get to it in a moment, but you're right, maybe this was confusing. Let's finish first with this one, okay? And then I'm gonna get back to that. By the way, you can also post your questions in the general chat, so everyone can also see questions and also add your own questions in case something was confusing. Okay, so this selector works for saving this post text. Okay, so let's go back here and let's save it. We're going to save it to LinkedIn profiles, but we're missing a column for that. So let's save so that we don't lose the selector. And now let's open and create a column, which we're going to call post text. I also want to mention that instead of cluttering your data table, you could also create it simply as a variable. However, in my case, actually, when I build this TaskBot, I would prefer to go over the data table results after, during the first few runs, and I would like to check what was the post text, what was the comment, and just to see if no comment was particularly off. Okay, so here's the post text. This is where we're going to be saving the text so that we can send it to ChatGPT and get the automated comment based on the text. That's why let's already create another column, which we're going to call generated comment. And here too, you don't want to clutter your data table. You could just keep saving it as a variable, which is a temporary value, and it's going to be overwritten on every loop iteration. But here again, because afterwards I would prefer to actually go over the generated comments and the post. So I'm going to keep record of everything. Okay. So in this case, let's go back here and let's save this to post text. Okay. And now after that, we can actually start with ChatGPT. Before we do that, there are a few things I want to add. First of all, what if there is a profile that posted something, which is a video, but there is no text inside? That's why here again, I would prefer to use check web element and first check whether this comment, whether this text actually exists. So let's add it right here, like so. And only if this exists, we're gonna save it. If not, we can update again the record in our data table so that later on we can always understand what was happening during the run. I find it really important. Okay, so let's, in this case, let's add no text in post. Okay, and another thing that could happen in theory, that maybe there is a selector like this, but there was still no text, so maybe it was basically empty. So I'd like to add another condition, which just going to check whether there was any text saved. So this is kind of double check, but it's also good because you want to limit your interactions on LinkedIn, and you don't want to use your ChatGPT tokens, which are not expensive, but still, which in case there was no text, and so you don't want to be sending a more or less empty prompt or invalid prompt. Okay, so let's see, post text save, set condition. So only if data is found, we're going to be continuing. And if it's not found, so let's change to not found, save, connect, then we're going to update this with the same, no text in post. Okay, great. So from here on, we can start using ChatGPT. Before I do that, I'd like to get back to Claudia's question about avoiding to commenting on the same post. So, so first of all, we've got here a column called last used post link, right? And here we've got the current post link. So while here, we're saving the current post link, and then we are comparing it, so current post link, to the last used post link. But the question is, when do we get the last used post link, right? So this is this can simply be done right after this condition. So let's we could do it after like, for example, or before. Doesn't play any role, or on the slide. So here we're going to update the column in the LinkedIn data table, last used post, with the variable post, like so. because I know many of you were interested in this specific logic, so how to avoid, commenting or engaging with the same post. Let me just kind of walk you through it again to summarize it. So when we save that link in the variables in the current post link, then we're checking whether the last one is equal to last used post link. Now, when you run this TaskBot for the very first time, this is going to be always empty. So this will not be equal. And so the TaskBot will continue with engaging with that post. And so it's not going to be equal, and it's going to update the last used post link with the current post link. And so in this case, every time when they are not the same, then this link is going to be updated. And you can let me know if this is still confusing. Now, let me see. Another question is, you have status for liked, but isn't that always going to be overwritten by other statuses? Actually, what I'm planning to do here is that here I'm going to be using the status liked, right? And later on, when I comment on it, I'm going to concatenate it. I'm going to add and commented. But here you're right, actually. So for this one, I think there was an oversight on my side. So when we post here, no text in post, this is going to overwrite it. So what we could do is we can concatenate, so basically adding that, so we'll have liked. And here we can add something like, let's see, and did not comment because no text in post, something like that. Now, of course, if you later on going to be working with the statuses to do something, maybe you want to use a shorter one. Good. So yeah, thanks for that. Makes sense. And also from Maya, about putting all this data in Google Sheet or Excel instead. Yes, of course, you can always connect it with Google Sheet. Just a quick note on that. You can simply connect it to Google Sheet, and then it will always be in your Google Sheet. So hope that answers your question. Okay. All right, so let's continue. Now that we're here and the post text was saved, now we can use ChatGPT. So let's do that. We're going to add this building block, which is Ask ChatGPT. And here we're going to first write a prompt. Now, I'm demonstrating this LinkedIn flow, but you can, of course, use the same kind of logic to any other use case for your internal processes or for other platforms. So that's why I'm also going to share a few tips on the thought process of how to write the prompt. So you can go here and then you can add a few comments, right? And then basically ask for a few posts, sorry, and then ask for a comment and see what worked best. Let's see, I think I've tried it here. So you see, I've tried a few prompts here, and it took a little bit of time to refine the prompt. So for example, you can see here that I was getting reply with double quotes, which was also, I found a bit too long. Also, there was a comment, as you can see here, which ChatGPT provided, and it said, it's been a privilege to collaborate, and so on. But I don't know this person, so that would be really off. So that's why I added, for example, here also a note that this post is from a person I don't know closely, so do not mention any past, present, or future joined experience. This worked fine. And in my testing, worked pretty good. So that's why I'm going to copy the prompt that I added here. But those were a few tips for you so that you can also leverage them. Okay, here we go. So write a comment of approximately 100 characters to a post on LinkedIn. Note that this post is from a person I don't know closely, so do not mention any past, present, or future experience, joint experience. Do not use double quotes, reply directly with a comment. And this is the post. Now, this was a reference from another data table. I need to replace it. Generate. Apologize, that's wrong. Post text. So this is what we saved. Now you also see here content shortened. So there is one more step I want to add. I want to shorten the length of the post. The post is very long. So I want to be mindful with the amount of tokens that I consume, right? So let me first show you what I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna get back to that prompt. So I'm going to use the building block called format data before I actually send anything to ChatGPT. And I'm going to take here shorten content length. And I'm going to first shorten that post text. How many characters? That I also want to show in a moment. So, however, in my prompt, I also added here at the end content shortened. Why is that? Because ChatGPT is very prone to incomplete things. So once I tried in just normal ChatGPT chat to post a shortened post, it actually went ahead and completed the post. So that's not what we want. That's why I added here content shortened, and that worked well. So, okay, this is going to be the prompt, and we're going to be saving it to the generated comments. Now let's get back to the format data. How many characters should remain? So again, the thought process here, the thought process here is to, for example, use something like character count online and to see what's a reasonable amount. I'm going to open a profile which has a long post so that we can check. So this is especially actually case for LinkedIn. I'm not sure on other platforms if this is a big problem, but here we see that the post is really long and we probably don't need all of it. Now, obviously, if you don't mind spending a little bit more tokens, then you can also leave the whole post. That will probably generate a better comment by ChatGPT. Right, so if I paste it here, you can see it has 1,500 characters. Now that would make approximately, just real approximate value, about 400 consumed tokens on the prompt. Let's say reduce it like that, then it's about 500, and that looks actually fine. So I'm going to leave it at 500 characters, which is just going to be something like 150 tokens. I also want to, by the way, point you to the reference. Here's a page on ZeroWork Creator app documentations. And you can also see a few examples here. Particularly on the tokens, there are a few examples on, for example, how much it would cost. For example, entering a prompt of 200 characters and so on costs you about 80 cents on GPT-4, 3 cents on GPT-3, or less than 3. Okay, so this is this was just a side note, but now here, let's go back here and let's add here 500. I'm going to be shortening the post to 500. So obviously, if it's longer than 500, then nothing's going to happen. Yeah, glad you find it useful. So, okay, let's now continue. Now we've got the ChatGPT message saved in generated comment. So now we can go back to our post right here, and then what we need is to click on the button comment. When we click on the button comment, you can see that my mouse cursor right here So is already here. So I don't need a selector for the add comments section. I only need to click on the comment. I'm also going to try going with the text equals comment. So I'm just going to go by label, comment. I'm going to wait a little bit, like so, and then I'm going to directly enter ChatGPT answer. So I'm going to be referencing to generated comment, like so. And then I don't need a selector. So that's because if selector is not provided, then content will be inserted where the mouse cursor is. And let's add here a longer delay so that we can just check the comment of what ChatGPT is entering. Well, maybe that's a bit too long. Okay. Now the last step will be hitting the post button, but I'm going to not do it for now because I want to first run it, see how the comments are working, and then only after that we can click on that button post. Let's see, one thing that we also want to do here is to update the status. So let's, instead of choosing equal, let's add to our liked status and commented in the column status, like so. What you can also do is add the date of the last interaction. This can be helpful if you want to use this TaskBot as a base and then add additional logic, such as, for example, add a follow-up after 2 days, or do not engage on profiles too often, but rather wait like 2 days and so on. That's why I'm going to add an additional column. I know many of you find it useful and use this kind of logic in your TaskBots. Date of last interaction. So that's going to be done with record date, calendar date, and we're going to update it with today in the column date of last interaction, like so. Note that in this case, we're only updating it if we are commenting, but not when we are liking. So that looks like that doesn't look ideal, I would say. So even if we did not comment because the post did not contain a text, but we still liked. So let's add it before all of these conditions. So let's add it right here. And you can add, of course, even 2 dates, date of last like and date of last post. So that's up to you. All right. Okay, so let me now run this TaskBot. Let's see if I overlooked anything or not. And one thing, actually, now I remember one thing that I did overlook to tell you, because that's an important part of it, is that you need to add your OpenAI key. So I'm just going to show you quickly how to do that. So let's go back to the main menu, then go to settings, and now go to integrations. Here you can add your API key. The way you do it is that you go to openai.com, then you log in, you select here API. From here, you can just go to API keys. Note that this will not be shown again, so they're obfuscated, but you can create a new key. And then once you create that new key, you can simply copy and paste it here. Here, you wouldn't be able to see it either. So obviously saved securely and in encrypted form. Okay, but you can always delete it and add a new one if you like. All right, so let's go back here. And let's now run this TaskBot. Oh, forgot cookies. So I'm going to close it. And now copying the cookies from here and adding them to the settings, like so. Okay, now let's try again. So here's the first profile. Now, what we're expecting here is that the taskbar is going to skip this one because it doesn't have the button show all posts. So this person has not posted any posts yet. Okay, that's the next one. So here should work. So I've added quite long delays, as you have seen. Link copied, so that sounds quite good. Okay, watch here. Interesting topic. Looking forward to reading about the sustainable pathways for sourcing lithium. Fair enough, that's great. I like this comment. So all I would need to do now is just hit the post button. I skipped it for now. Okay, next profile. And my question, what's the advantage of copying the cookies as opposed to running in non-incognito mode? Yeah, well, if I run non-incognito, then I cannot post. So I need to be inside my profile in order to be able to post a comment like so. So it also, as you can see, it liked also. So now the button is colored blue. Congratulations on your new position. Wishing you all the best in your career journey. Also good. I like it. I think I'm also using here GPT 3.5, which is less expensive. And I think GPT-4 generates even better comments. I'll show you in a moment how you can choose between GPT 3.5 or 4 in the Ask ChatGPT building block. Okay, so let's go with one more. Okay, that's an interesting question. What exactly makes an iconic leader? Let's see what a lead character, truly iconic. Let's see what ChatGPT is going to reply. The perfect blend of relatability, depth, and memorable traits that captivate and inspire. Also good. Okay, so I think we've got the idea. Let me terminate it. I think we still have 1 or 2 profiles to go, but I'm just going to finish it earlier so that we can go on with a few more exciting things that I'm going to show you here. One thing that I just promised is to show you how to choose the model. So you can choose here model either GPT-4 or 3.5. What's also cool, if you have your own fine-tuned model, you can also add it right here. And as I mentioned in the beginning, but for those of you who joined later, I want to mention it again. We also want to introduce a feature where you can upload a set of examples to train a model so that ChatGPT actually replies in your own personal voice. That's really cool. I've already tried it a bit and the results are really good. As expected, the browser was terminated. That's because I closed the browser earlier, but I also wanted to show you one more thing. You can also see that we also show how many tokens were consumed. So in this case, we spent 80 tokens on prompt and 22 in completion, in total 102. So this is how you can always also track what's the expense. Let me see a few questions. Did your prompt include a request for an emoji? No, it did not. Pretty cool, right? Maya, non-incognito means I'd be signed in, not anonymous, right? So why would I need to use the saved cookie? Right, but I think as anonymous user, you cannot post on LinkedIn. So you can view the profiles, but you cannot post. And is there any way to get the amount of tokens into the data table? Unfortunately not yet, but I'll make a note, maybe something that I could add, because I want to show you there are some advanced prompt settings, which you can see here. So you can adjust some of the things. So they are a little bit more advanced, but you can do your research. So you can adjust the temperature, a few other things. You can also customize the error behavior. So for example, ChatGPT sometimes truncates the responses. I know even in our Facebook group, some of you have posted questions about that. So what you can do is that you can save the error code to a, let's say, variable that you're going to call something like error code. And if this is saved there, then the TaskBot is going to continue with the run, and you can add some conditions, such as, for example, if error code equals length, which means ChatGPT truncated the response, then, for example, do something else. Yeah, fine-tuned models are really nice. In fact, I've tried this a few times, and even providing 10 or 20 examples already makes a huge difference. And one more question. So if we update data table to approved, bot publishes the comment. Yes, that's also something we can do. That's one more thing I want to show in the end of this session, depending on the time remaining. But I want to show you how to actually avoid TaskBot not posting the comments immediately, but actually first waiting for your approval. So I'm going to show it in a few moments. Yeah, and now show it in the data table. Right. Thanks, Claudia. So let's see how what we've got here. So no posts, right? Linked and commented. Okay, we need a white space. And liked. I think that's because I interrupted it before it actually managed to post the comment. And here we've also got the complete record of the posts and comments, date of last interaction, and last used post link. Now I hope that the logic with the last used post link makes more sense now, because if I run this again now, what will happen is that the TaskBot is going to skip these ones because the post is the same. So I can run it again, and then we can see how that works. Yes, nice date format, Claudia. That's right. That took us a while to finally get the US format in our application. All right, trying it again. On a second thought, actually, like there are how to improve this TaskBot even more. For example, I wouldn't visit a profile that already has something in the status, because we know that this profile has no posts. It makes no sense to kind of over interact on LinkedIn. Okay, so copy post. And as you can see, it's skipped. So it goes to the next profile and it's going to do the same thing. I'm going to skip it, and then we can check in the logs if that's correct. So for example, here you can see start condition, reference value used for the comparison. The condition of equals was fulfilled. And so yeah, and so the status was updated to no new post. So we can go back here. As you can see, no new post. The date of last interaction today, but after that, no new post. Okay, awesome. Now let me show you how to also limit your number of comments or number of profile visits per run, and also snooze. And let's see. And Ness asks, will the Will they ask ChatGPT be visible to user if we have a published TaskBot that we allowed them to choose their own model? Yes, actually, yes. So this field here is parameterizable. So you can enter a parameter here, and so the user can also add their own model even. Okay, and Priya share the loop logic of saving LinkedIn connection profiles, which we already have to data table. Yeah, I see that. So Priya is asking, I see also in the direct message. So Priya is asking if I can also show a loop where we first collect the LinkedIn profiles. So let me add this to the end of this session if time remains. For now, I would suggest let's first amplify this TaskBot with a few more things that are promised in the beginning. And then after that, we can do that. Okay, now next part on my list is we need to limit the number of visits per run, and we also want to snooze. So we want to make sure that we're not visiting many profiles in succession, but actually pause every now and then, especially for non-premium LinkedIn accounts. This is important, and this is the kind of logic you can use on any other use case. Okay, so let's get started. First, I'm going to create two variables. One I'm going to call profile counter, and another one I'm going to call snooze counter. Both of them will need to start at 0 at the beginning of the run, or at least they need to be resetted so that the value from the previous run does not affect this run. So profile counter reset, so just adding an empty field here, or you can also enter 0, doesn't matter. So that's going to be our starting point. Next, as soon as we open a profile, we want to update that. So let's just duplicate those like so. And here, instead of set equal, we need to do +1 in the profile counter and +1 in the snooze counter. So every time the TaskBot is opening a profile, it's going to update the profile counter and the snooze counter. Now, let's make sure that the TaskBot is not visiting more than 100 profiles per run. So this is where we need to add a condition before we open a link. So that's really important that we add it before we open a link. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so now let's add start condition. Let's add variables, profile counter, and set condition. So I want to make sure that as long as it's less than 100, then we're not continuing. But also note that here it's important that you set another condition, which is going to be equal. So if the number equals 100, then we want to break our loop. Why is this important? That's because you may have a data table which is very long, especially if you have a kind of combined TaskBot that collects leads and then also does some actions. So let's say you have a data table with 1,000 results. So the TaskBot is checking on every row, okay, is this less than 100? Is this less than 100? So this takes a while. That's why I make sure once you reach 100 that you actually break this repeat. That means the loop stops, no more loop iterations. So this will make for a shorter, faster run. So this is about the profile visit limit per run. And now let's also add a condition for the snooze. So the snooze basically just means that we want to make sure that after about maybe 15 profiles, the TaskBot is going to wait for some 5 minutes somewhere else. So I'm going to add a start condition right after we've made a comment, like so. And I'm going to check if it equals 15, for example. If yes, then I would like the TaskBot to go to maybe even a different page, just maybe LinkedIn feed page, like so, and stay there for some 5 minutes or so. So that's 250 to 350 seconds. It's going to take a little while. After that, do not forget to reset, otherwise it will keep waiting on every next run for some 5 minutes. So reset it back to 0. Snooze counter can be left empty or 0. Just important is to reset. And by the way, here also, let's add the button to actually post the comment. So that's before I forget. And after posting the comment, I'm going to update the data table with "and commented." Right, so this is how you can add the snooze logic. Yes, exactly, Maya. Take a break like a human would. And here's another question from Brett. How do we skip profiles so it doesn't look like we are posting on link after link? Example, post, skip 1 to 5 posts, post again, repeat. Skip 1 to 5 posts. Do you mean, yeah, I'm not sure 100% understand the question. Basically, if you mean that you would not want to post on the latest post, or you want to maybe like one profile and then, okay, I think I see what you mean. So basically you are opening several profiles and you are engaging on some, but not on all. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. You could add some conditions. I think I'd have to give it some thought, however, after this session, and can share some ideas with that for that. Well, basically, you can keep a track of the. I would say you would keep a track of the counter, and you would only like on certain numbers, for example, or engage with the post. And Claudia didn't see any daily profile visit logic and date block logic. Yeah, that's also a great question, because actually the recommendation is not that you only limit the number of actions per run, but rather that you limit the number of actions per day. Especially if you publish on the marketplace, you really need to make sure that you have the logic that actually limits the number of engagement or like profile visits per day, because you don't know how often your subscribers may be running this TaskBot, and they may not be, as tech savvy, or might just accidentally run it twice a day, or maybe they accidentally schedule it to run every hour. So that would, I think, take a bit too much time. So that's why I'm just going to share afterwards a link to a YouTube video where I actually shared exactly that. So it's a very similar TaskBot that I built there, of course, at that time without ChatGPT yet. But there I shared how you can actually record today's date and then check if the number of profiles visits on that particular day already exceeds the limit or not. Okay, so Maya is asking, while it's on the feed page, is there a way to make it scroll? So we don't have a scroll action, right? But we have an inbuilt auto scroll logic. So if you just save, if you attempt to save something for which you need to scroll, like let's say profile number, or not profile, sorry, post number 10, then the TaskBot will scroll. So that's a bit of a workaround. And Dean comments, manual ChatGPT response approval is very important. Okay, so that's exactly one other point that was that I promised in the beginning. I think the time still allows us to actually go over that logic. So so the way you would do it is the following. So you want to create a some sort of way where you can approve the comment. So let's add a column, which we're going to call approval. And it would make more sense to place it right here so that we can review here the post, the comment, or maybe just the comment, see if it's appropriate. And then if it's fine, then we're going to add something like this. So let's see. First, I'm going to start with a logic, how to just make sure that, how to just check for that approval. And then there are a few more things to be aware of. So let's add after repeat. So what happens with the, or what it means is that once this loop ran and once it completed, then you can continue with a new loop. That would be one way of doing it. So you can start iterating over the data tables, but it has a bit of a disadvantage that in that case, we are visiting the profiles, the double amount of profiles, basically. So that's why in order to not actually rebuild this TaskBot or rebuild the logic that I've just created, let's go for another approach. What we're going to do here is that within the same loop, we're just going to check when the status is approved, then we're going to post a comment. If it's not approved, then we're not going to post a comment. We also need to make sure that we're not asking ChatGPT twice. So this is also a logic that we need to take care of. Okay, so let's go over it. So here we're first doing the profile counter, and that's fine. And before we open the profile, we want to check whether this profile already got a comment or not. If it did not get a comment yet, then that means we need to open it in order to get the post text and generate the comment from ChatGPT. But if we're still waiting for approval, then we don't want to ask ChatGPT again for the comment that's already saved there. That's why here, after this logic where we count the profiles, we're going to add here additional condition, which is going to be and let me also see another comment. I think it's related. So we could go back and comment on old posts and move forward or backward in time rather than starting fresh, but still make sure we haven't commented in the past. Yeah, it is a little bit tricky. That's why let's go step by step here. So first of all, in the approval, I think we need an additional status for this approval. Maybe we need something that says waiting for approval. First of all, so that we still can continue if the comment was not even generated yet. The way it's a bit tricky is because so this TaskBot is supposed to be run daily, right? So you still don't want to miss on the new posts, but you don't want to keep overwriting the post that you haven't approved yet and for which you already generated the comment. You also, in this case, don't want to actually post on the profile because our logic makes you post on the last comment, but in that case, you actually want to use the last used post link. Why is that? Because maybe you didn't approve immediately, but it took you a few days to approve. In the meantime, the person has already posted a new post, so you don't want to post the wrong comment on the wrong post. Okay, so that's why in that case, we would need to open the post link and not the profile itself. Okay, so good. Now let's approval, then set condition. Let's start with an easy one. If we enter approved, or let's say it's just yes. Approval, and if it's yes, then we're going to post on this comment. So let's see. For now, we're still opening the link. That's fine. We are going to be adding all this logic. That's fine too. But in that case, what we don't need to be saving and asking ChatGPT. So we just need this part over here. So this is for now. We're going to differentiate and then see how we can combine this logic. So in that case, if the approval is there, then we are going to open a different link, not the profile link, but in this case, the profile, the last used post link, like so. Then we're also going to add this counter and so on. That's good. Yes, there is also this button, click on the comment that I missed. So that needs to be added here. And so if the status is approved, we can do that. And if the status is not approved, then we need to have some additional logic. We can also maybe leave it empty. Let's see if this is enough. Data not found. So that means if there is no approval there yet, then we're going to continue here. However, because whenever you approve it once, and let's say this is already posted, then we need to reset this back to empty. I hope that makes sense because, again, so we're building this TaskBot for a daily run. If you approved something, there is still a chance that the TaskBot is going to get a new post on the next run, which you again need to approve, right? So that's why here we are going to duplicate this update data. Going to set it to, for now, I'm going to go just for nothing. So if there is nothing, then that means it's just not approved. And the approval is going to be empty. So we're resetting that value after all of this happened. And let's see, now here we need to make sure, right, that we are going to generate a new post only if the last comment was already basically posted. So this is where I'm not sure if just resetting the value is going to be enough, or we need an additional status as in pending. So let's let's see, for now we're going with data not found. How can we make sure that we know whether there is a need to generate a new comment or not? Yeah, I think in that case, we should probably add pending. That's the most reasonable thing that appears to me now. So let's add here pending, not variables, LinkedIn profiles, approval. So after we've generated that comment and saved it, we're going to add pending. And I think there was a logic here for data not found, so that would not be right. Instead, if it's not equal pending, only in that case, we're going to continue with that logic. Again, we need another open link, in this case of the profile, and not anymore of the link. Profile link, save, like that. Let's review this, if this was right. So if the approval is yes, then we're going to visit the post link, not the profile, then click on the comment, then post a comment, and so on, and then reset the approval to nothing, so that it's whether pending nor approved. After that, and if the approval is not pending, and it's also not yes, so there is an additional one that I forgot. So one more thing, start condition. So here, if it's yes, then we're continuing. Here, if it's not yes, then we're continuing down this path, but we also need to make sure that it's not pending. So another one is going to be, and it's not equal pending. So we have double condition here. Only in that case, we're going to open the profile and generate a new comment. Well, we also need to make sure that we say that we have the same profile counter logic here as well. So the way we can ensure that is by dragging it to the end. So let's do that. And let's, in the end, connect this too, so that after whether we open a post link or whether we open a profile, we still want to use this snooze logic. And one more thing that is missing that we will need to probably do in a sort of a bit of a duplicated way. So here we also need to add a counter for the profile and for the snooze, like so, so that both paths have that logic. Okay, it doesn't make sense. And yes, you're alive. It's better to duplicate already working TaskBot. That's true. So also my recommendation to everyone. Okay, so yeah, I think what is your preference, by the way? Would you post automatically like I showed a moment before, or would you actually do this approval process and first, once the TaskBot is done, then you go over all these comments and you click here yes, and so on? Approval. Yeah, I think it would be my preference as well to have it with an approval. Cool. So Maya is asking, where will we be able to download this TaskBot? I will send it to all of you. So please share your email addresses with me. So as promised, everyone will get this TaskBot. In fact, also, I'm going to separate this TaskBot into two. Okay, so one is going to be an automated comment LinkedIn bot, and another one is going to be with the approval process. So I'm going to send these two TaskBots to your account. Just share your email address, be it here in the chat or in Discord. So whatever's your preference, or Facebook DM if you don't want to share publicly. And then all I'm going to do is then send it all to you. Well, and that's actually what I wanted to share with you. I hope that was helpful. I also want to highlight that this was not just strategy for LinkedIn, but for any platform, and also for any internal use case or process that you want to automate. So LinkedIn was really just an example, so it's not restricted to LinkedIn or just social media. And I hope that was useful. So if you have any additional questions, as promised, I can answer them or show how to build something if you're not sure or if you're stuck. We're running a bit out of time, but if someone wants to stay and ask question, I'm here and I'm available. So just post in the chat. Okay, let me see. And Pri is asking if we have time, can we quickly go on with connections we already have in LinkedIn? And yeah, let me see. Let me also see if there are any other questions. We should do a future session about pulling weekly stats across multiple social media platforms. Yeah, on that note, so anyone is welcome to post your suggestions in live stream on Discord or also on Facebook. So I think this is helpful, or I hope this is helpful to those of you who are building task boards and automating your processes, because we don't have templates yet, hopefully soon in the future. So so what I'm saying is that I plan to do these sessions more often. So next year as well, in January. So just post your ideas or what use case you would like to see. And I can pick the idea that gets the most votes, basically. So for example, Megan suggested pulling weekly stats across multiple social media platforms. So just go to Discord, and if you are interested in this too, then vote for this use case and I can present it next time. And I will share today's recording, yes. And I will also add it to YouTube. Is Facebook or Discord the best place to get help? Yes, especially Discord. Facebook is more like for general exchange. And how many bots can I have working on same laptop to different social profiles? So yeah, if you have multiple profiles, generally speaking, you can use 2 to 5 profiles from the same IP. More than that, you should be using proxies. So you can just click here and you can add your proxy. So there are different proxy providers. One is, for example, Bright Data, and there you can add your proxy if you are managing more profiles. Thank you, Maya. Okay, and about having some time and staying in. Priya, if we have time, can we go on with connections we already have on LinkedIn? So first of all, I don't want to take more of your time than I asked for. So it was 1.5 hour session. So if you need to leave, no problem. Thank you so much for participating. I hope that was useful to you. Everyone who shared your emails will get this TaskBot and also another one without the approval process to your ZeroWork account. And for those who want to stay and dive into some of the questions that Priya and others are asking, then welcome to stay. So